All right, thank you everyone. Thank you, Millie, for the beautiful presentation on the Special Economic Zone. My name is Ruben, I work at Architect, and this is Kun. He leads the Blockchain Builders Fund out of Stanford. And I'm excited to speak to you about finding the next wave of startups in Argentina. Juan framed it very eloquently. We have a perfect storm coming to Argentina. We have three distinct elements that make up this storm. On one hand, we have a very challenging macroeconomic environment that at the same time presents a huge opportunity for startups to disrupt. Second, we have a fantastic base of builders that show on every index globally the highest adoption of crypto. And then the third piece, and probably most importantly for the urgency that we are trying to convey in this room and at this event, we do have a government that is extremely supportive of both crypto-enabled growth and innovation-led growth in particular. Now, with this kind of perfect storm brewing, we asked ourselves the question, okay, what is needed to drive this massive value that we want to see in Argentina in the upcoming years? And we landed on a number of category-defining startups that need to emerge from the Argentinian scene. Now, we had to take a massive step back and ask ourselves, okay, how might we make that possible? And our first step on that journey was bringing together a global team led by Argentinian powerhouses like the Lemons, like the Cinso Storage, etc., to kind of dive into what are the opportunity areas that we will need to tackle to bring about that change. We brought on board the Blockchain Builders Funds operating out of Stanford and Palo Alto. We brought people from New York City like Architect Systems and from Switzerland. We brought on the likes of Graph Paper Capital. We brought on the likes of Juan Benet and Protocol Labs, who have a truly global presence. And together, we sat down and we felt that in order to drive and kind of provide a little bit of a roadmap for the startups that are coming in, we will need to create a methodology to drive to opportunity areas that we can then bring to startups and they can build against those. So what I will do in the next couple of minutes is I'm going to lay out the methodology of the work that we have done in the last couple of months and weeks to arrive at what we call the requests for startup for LF City. The first step that we took was really like, let's engage with an open mind, right? Like, let's engage in some divergent thinking. Let's keep an open mind and let's go down to Argentina and immerse ourselves in the culture, do some ethnographic discovery of what the frictions and the reality on the ground actually is. We did so in April. We spent 2 weeks in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, next to builders. We sat with them, we spoke with them. Yes, we had asados with them, but mainly we discovered the very, very unique problems of the Argentinian builder scene. Next, we engaged in some qualitative research because once we went back home, we could bring it to the internet and engage with more people than we could hit in 2 weeks in person in Buenos Aires. So that was a period of convergence. That was a period of, okay, we just stepped away from Argentina. We had hardened our thinking around what we think the problems are, but now let's go out and speak with more people to see if our initial hypotheses are valid. Qualitative research, however, only gets you so far. At some point, we had to establish, hey, are our assumptions actually sizable? Can they drive impact? Are the things that we are proposing for startups big enough? That's when we hit the quantitative research, and we had a dedicated research stream that did surveying. They looked at reports, et cetera, to get to a more hardened view on what is it that we want to do here. The last piece, and this is kind of still an ongoing piece where we speak to subject matter experts. This is not discovery. This is not hardening. This is when you go to the texture of the problem. Now you want to find out not how big is it, not what is it, but you want to talk to the people that have dedicated significant amount of their professional career towards engaging and really taking apart one particular problem. The result of all of this was what we call the Request for Startup Aleph Edition, and this is what we're going to introduce to you now. But before we go there, let's get a clap of hands for all of these people that were engaged with us. All right. So the Request for Startup Aleph Edition is a written document, but for the purpose of the presentation here, right, I have quickly summarized the core opportunity areas, and we will go into those in turn. We will do this very quickly, so you can step away with some knowledge, but then dig in deeper as you go to the Crecimiento homepage. Number one, extremely exciting, stablecoins and financial stability. Juan talked about it, a number of other people talked about it, Emmy touched on it. We have a huge erosion of savings and wealth through the volatility in the pesos. Huge friction. This has a secondary and a tertiary effect on the long-term planning and the ability to plan long time, not just on a micro level, not just on the level of the individual enterprise, but also at the macro level. For those of you who are financially inclined, you know that for any size of business, you need to be able to project out cash flows. That is extremely, extremely difficult for ventures that are trying to operate out of Argentina. And then there's another second order effect that is related to wealth creation, which is if you look at every single successful ecosystem out there, if you think of Silicon Valley, Switzerland, even Dubai, if you think about those ecosystems, you will know that for the step from 0 to 0.5 and 0.5 to 1, the angel and micro VC community is absolutely critical. In the absence of wealth creation for individuals, you will not have an active and vibrant angel community. We need to change that. So the objective for this particular opportunity area is build stable financial primitives to arrive at parity or even leapfrog known financial infrastructure. A couple of examples of what we can build here or what we want to see are listed here. But I encourage you to open up your mind, engage in your own research, and think about what is it that you want to build against this set of frictions. The second one is credit and financial exclusion. This one is extremely exciting for me, very close to what I do personally in my day-to-day life. In Argentina, there is a huge set of people that have no or very limited access to credit. Again, for those of you who are running businesses, who have ever taken out credit, you know that credit extends your existing capital base and just extends the option space of what is possible for you to do. In the absence of credit, you hamper an economy. The logic of this should be evident for everyone who looks at their news center every night and sees how closely everyone across the economy is tracking the interest rate, the leading interest rate. Right? Interest, however, is not a two-party problem. Interest is not just the person that extends. It's not just the person that extends credit and the person that takes credit, but there's an entire economy around the lending and extending of credit. There are those people that monitor credit, the people that provide credit stores, the people that enforce credit, the people that manage credit out of bankruptcy, et cetera, et cetera. These are all opportunities and these are all pieces that we in our research have established as sorely lacking in some pockets and many pockets of the Argentinian economy. So our objective here again is to build an inclusive credit infrastructure at national scale and extend the capital base, the existing capital base, through data-driven controls around credit. Yeah? Examples of what we like to see, I think super interesting for me and everybody who ever interface with me is like blockchain-based credit scoring, peer-to-peer lending marketplaces, and collateralized lending. And with this, I'm handing over to Kun, who is going to speak about the other opportunity areas.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Ruben. As Ruben mentioned, we have done quite extensive research. We talked to local communities and found out and identified these opportunities based on the problem that's happening locally. And a little bit background myself also. I founded Stanford Blockchain Accelerator, so help a lot of startups and tech startup in the crypto space. Another fun fact is, although I don't look like a typical Argentinian, I grew up in Argentina.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So a lot of these frictions and pinpoints are not only like text here, but also live in my vivid childhood memory. So here we have a real world asset. So there's a lot of real world asset obviously in Argentina. However, there's like they're not very liquid, and you can't use it to as a collateral and get a financing, get an investment, etc. There's some experimentation around bringing some of the real world asset like the real estate and commodity and some debt instrument on chain. However, the experiment is fairly nascent and a lot of unknown. So we're having like the Aleph as kind of a sandbox for experimentation and to try to build a real world asset infrastructure to try to democratize access to a lot of potential investment opportunities and additional like funding and fundraising opportunities and having the real world asset as a collateral options. Some of the typical example I already mentioned, like tokenizing real estate, commodities, and debt instruments. So decentralized finance just make a lot of sense, right? Given the financial instability in Argentina. So the first time when I touched Argentinian soil was 2001. The first thing that I remembered of my journey to Argentina was when the president de la Rua resigned. If you're from Argentina or you understand or know the history of Argentina, you know what that means. That's basically the starting point of the financial instability. There's an incident called a Corralito, where there's a lot of change of president in an extremely short period of time. And they basically freeze, or central banker decide to freeze withdrawal from the central bank, from banking system. So originally it was 1-to-1, means 1 peso Argentinian, 1 US dollars. But after, I think, 3-4 months, they froze the entire withdrawal. But after they lift the freeze, they let everyone withdraw the money, and the peso had already devaluated to 1-to-3. So originally you have $100 worth like 100 pesos. Now you're getting still like 100 pesos, but now it's worth $33. So this made a lot of Argentinians lose confidence and don't trust the government or bank anymore. So that's kind of the example illustrate the problem where there's inefficient TriFi ecosystem system there, and a lot of not quite well-written, very opaque financial rules. And that also means like a lot of local population could not access financial system, and also small businesses couldn't get funding through banking. DeFi seems to be interesting. However, there's some potential complexity and regulatory challenges. So the objective here is we try to build decentralized, trustless financial services, trying to identify some of the challenges, regulatory challenges, and technical complexities associated with DeFi, and work with the founders, and then come up with creative way and transparent financial infrastructure so that Argentinians and also startups in Argentina can better fundraise, can also grow their asset and their wealth. Some of the typical examples here are like loans, decentralized insurance, crowdfunding platform, and liquidity pool for SMEs. Crypto legal tech. So if you are from Argentina, you probably also know like the local legal system and the regulations quite complex and unclear. So already saying here, it's a lot of uncertainty and it's hard to follow. So a lot of the regulatory tax solutions, legal tech, emerging, but they need to be tailored to address a specific problem, like the tax problem or any other problem associated with a complex local legal ecosystem. So here, the objective we have here for the startup to address is trying to come up with way how to better simplify, make like startups or people easy to follow the local regulations and lower the barriers for local startups to do business in Argentina. And then in that way, you have a better, a more supportive, more transparent legal framework so that people can work under and can follow. Some of the examples are like compliance tool, automated compliance tool, some like tax reporting solutions, and then using blockchain, you have like blockchain-based legal platforms. Next one we have is digital identity and security. As I mentioned, the local ecosystem quite interesting because of some lack of trust in the local ecosystem. Therefore, there's a need for a decentralized and trustless digital identity system so you can verify some of the data, your identity, or some other information in blockchain or trustlessly. And also, there's quite some fraud. So that's why having some third-party trustless platform where you don't need to go through like government or some centralized systems that behind the scene could have some manipulation of data is very much needed. And also, using blockchain, it could be more efficient than like the slow or cumbersome process. Therefore, here the goal is to create some identity system where we can further enhance trust. Some people don't need to trust a central identity, and then you can do a lot of activity, a lot of potential can be unlocked. You can do transactions, verify identity, etc. You don't need to doubt if the counterparty is showing the real ID or fake ID, and then also protect against identity theft. Some of the example here we have is decentralized identity platform, KYC solutions, some of the secure document storage, and some of the identity verification solutions. So the last one we have is a public good and governance mechanism. So right now, in Argentina, there's quite some inefficiency in the public good funding aspect. So there's like insufficient funding, not enough money. Even there's money, there's a lot of say like bureaucratic process, some mismanagement, misallocation of funds, etc. And then like lack of transparency. Sometimes also we have outdated governance or traditional governance and funding mechanism are not good to adapt to the dynamically evolving needs of public goods distribution. Therefore, blockchain is and crypto solutions are perfect, and we encourage and look forward to startups that can create a robust governance infrastructure that can help to address this problem and bring transparency and public trust, right, using blockchain and some other crypto solutions. Some of the example here we have is decentralized governance platforms, transparent subsidy distribution, public fund management, cross-source solutions. Those are the 7 areas, verticals that we identified. I think Juan Bennett and Emmy all mentioned all the problems, and here we're trying to laser focus on the few of the ones that we think make more sense. Obviously, not limited to these areas, but we just think people from Argentina like can feel the pain with those and can feel the friction also. So can also create also those kind of problem make sense to use a blockchain solution to address those problems. That's why we came up with those 7 areas of problems and a potential opportunity for improvement. That being said, I think after all the presentation we have, this slide seems to be very self-explanatory. Why you want to be part of the startup ecosystem and what apply to a left startup. So obviously you can get a lot of exposure, not only within Argentina and within this group of awesome people, but also like globally. As you can see, it's a very diverse set of people we have. We have not only Argentinians, Latinos, but also like Americans, Europeans, Asian, etc. So global exposure. And then you can receive support, right, from people like have done startup before and a running accelerator, know how to incubate and help startups and mentors, etc. So that can help you to avoid some of the mistakes you would have made throughout the startup journey. And they can also connect you to right parties for partnership, etc. And also it's a great place to collaborate with other like-minded founders and network with other people, both founders, entrepreneurs, and VCs. And obviously funding opportunities, right? There's a lot of angel investors of VC, and then you can get exposure to throughout this being part of this program. All that being said, I think, as I said, it's very self-explanatory why you want to be part of this program. So let's work together and let's make a difference together. Woo! So.
All right, so next up, we'll have a panel discussion. So please, everybody stay seated.